Warriors charge leads the way, and on the inside, War of Will, and they're at Galore in the final furlong. War of Will and Tyler Gaffley slipping through on the inside, shifting out just a tad on their left-hand energy. Warriors charge trying to salvage second, and here comes Everfast on the inside, and Owendale a late bit on the outside. War of Will won! Wow, War of Will! Everfast, and then it was third Owendale fall.
All right, post positions for the Belmont Stakes are up, and we are ready to rock and roll here. First of all, I did not do very well in the Preakness if you watched my video. I did have War of Will in there, but not on the top, so I'm taking no credit for even mentioning that horse. And it won. So that's the disclaimer. Be careful with my picks for the Belmont, but I'm just gonna go through a few things and then show you how I do it, and hopefully we cash a ticket. All right, just a couple things about the Belmont. If this is your first time betting it, it's a mile and a half, so it's very hard to predict what horse can go a mile and a half. It's really kind of a crapshoot. I mean, you just want a horse that's like ready to roll. Another thing is horses that race in the Derby, skip the Preakness, and then race in the Belmont are the ones that do very well. But that's not the only ones that do well. They just have been known in the past to finish in the money most of the time. I don't have the exact winning percentage for that, but it's just one of those well-known facts. One of the trainers that is notorious for doing this and being successful is Todd Pletcher. Todd Pletcher has two horses, I believe, right now in the race. Number 6, Spinoff, and number 8, Intrepid Heart. Now, I can't say I like either of these horses because I don't know too much about them, but just keep that in mind. The Todd Pletcher is pretty good at skipping races like this and going in. One of the horses that we have to be aware of is one of the top finishers in the Kentucky Derby, Tacitus, who is at 9-5 on the morning line. Jose Ortiz decided to take the mount. Tacitus placed 4th in the Kentucky Derby and then 3rd through disqualification. So hard to do anything, like I said before, because the Kentucky Derby finished in such a weird way. It's hard to use that race to predict how a horse is going to do in the next race. And also, we've been getting some serious payouts in these races, so it's hard to take Tacitus to win. I know it's a great horse, but there's been so many upsets on this triple crown that I don't know if I want to put him in. Another horse I'm going to stay away from is Bourbon War. I love Bourbon War. I wanted Bourbon War to be in the Derby. I bet him on the futures. I loved him in the Preakness. Obviously, that was my pick that I actually put money to win on and to place, including in the exotics. And it fell flat in the Preakness. But now he's got Mike Smith. I overplayed the Mike Smith-Bob Baffert combo in the Preakness. I think everybody did. My top 3 picks turned out to be bet down so hard, and none of them paid off. So now Mike Smith taking the mount on Bourbon War, I don't know if I could really pick Bourbon War again, even with Mike Smith on the mount. Even though I know this horse is a closer, it'll come up in the end, it could finish in the money. I'm just, it's just left a bad taste in my mouth when I watched that last race. I mean, he was so far behind that he wasn't even mentioned in the race. Okay, so all that being said, I'm going to show you just how I like to go about doing this. Okay, first of all, I don't really use the daily racing form anymore. I really kind of fell in love with the Brisnet Ultimate Post Positions. And this happened like years ago, and it's only because there's so much more information that Brisnet offers. People debate the speed ratings I don't really pay attention to speed ratings too much. If I look at speed ratings, I'm just looking for improvement. I'm not really looking for like the fastest horse, because that's not always a good indication. You're only going to end up betting favorites if you do that. And if you see like a horse with a high speed that's a long shot, there's usually another reason why it's a long shot. Maybe it's outclassed, or maybe it was injured and it's just coming off a injury. I don't know. It could be anything. The one thing I do like to look at is the all-weather distance in the pedigree of the horse when you look at the Brisbane Ultimate PPs. This here is the numbers we're looking at. These are furlongs. So anything with like 8 furlongs or more in the last few years, with the exception of last year, these horses usually do really well in the Belmont because they're distance horses, and that's what we want. So I'm going to go a little bit outside the box in this Belmont, and I'm going to take the favorite out. I'm taking Tacitus out. I'm taking Bourbon War out. But I am keeping War of Will, because War of Will, as you can see here, has a 10.7. That's 10.7 furlongs in the pedigree, and that means he is bred for distance. And he won the Preakness. He already performed very well in the Kentucky Derby, so we know War of Will is definitely a contender. Even with 3 races, he might be a little tired. He might not be able to make it, but maybe a 3rd place. I don't know. I definitely want to keep him on my ticket. So one horse I'm taking is War of Will. Another horse here is Tax. Tax is at 15-1, and it looks like his pedigree has a distance. So I'm going to throw Tax in there as my second pick. And the last and final one is going to be Master Fencer at 8-1 morning line. I really feel good when I see these numbers, these pedigree numbers for the distance horses. I'm really going on the bloodline. I'm really going with the pedigree, because it's worked for me 4 years out of 5 in the last Belmont Stakes. And I kind of told myself that's the only way I'm going to bet it from now on. I'm not going to look at the speeds. I'm not going to look at the favorites. I'm not going to look at everything that I normally look at. I did that a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago with the Preakness, and look what happened. I didn't even cash anything. It was a pure bust. So I'm taking the Belmont to the next level, and I'm just going on pedigree, something I've done for the last 5 years, and I'm sticking to that plan. So those are my top picks, no particular order. I don't think I'm going to take any of them straight up. I'm just going to do what I usually do, an exacta box, a trifecta box with 3 horses, Master Fencer, Tax, and War of Will. Those are my picks. So that's the plan. That's what I'm sticking to. And I hope we cash some tickets together. See you next time.